Hey guys, just got done the podcast with Grant Morris. The camera blipped out. We did not get a chance to do the sponsors for the tournament. So this podcast was highlighting a tournament that Grant Morris is running for the St. Baldricks Foundation. It's basically a kids' cancer tournament. The tournament's out of Havre de Grace. The launch is at Tidings Marina on June 25th. Line's out at 3. The after party's at Coakley's Pub, which is a great place to grab a beer and celebrate. There's trailer parking available. I'm gonna go through the list here of all the sponsors. And forgive me if I mispronounce them. Grant's handwriting is pretty awful. We have Cody Lynn, Backyard Customs, that's Steve Fogel, Jigged Up Unlimited, J.R. Whitsell, Stinky Pants, Cambo, which I assume is Cambo Trout, Frog Eaters, Spectra Baits, Instant History, It's Not Karma, Manor Avenue, Coakley's Pub in Havre de Grace, Rapala Baits, Nonthabury, Snakehead Outlaw, John Fink, Tailored Lures, High Octane Baits, JT Kenny, BKD Lures, Invasive, 98 Rock and WBAL, Mega Lure, Good Lines, Upper Base Snakes, Anytime Plumbing, MFers, Ballpark Restaurant, great place to get breakfast, Tactical Lures, Mathai, Arky, Casting with Clev, Addiction Baits, John with Paw Paw Jigs, and East Wind Fishing Podcast. If you guys have any questions, reach out to Grant. He's a great guy. This is a great podcast. I really enjoyed this one. We'll get started. So we got Grant Morris with us here. This is episode 2, 3, or 4, depending on what order we release everything in. So you reached out to me on Facebook. Was it Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook. Yep.
Yeah. So the problem with a podcast is getting people to come on. A lot of people say they want to come on, and then the rubber meets the road and guys bail out. So I really appreciate you coming here.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
I think the main topic we want to talk about was your foundation, right?
Sure. So back in, more or less, we organized a kayak bass tournament. We might as well just start at the beginning. 7 years ago, I joined the fire department in Havre de Grace with Susquehanna Hose Company. Every year they put on an event for the St. Baldricks Foundation. That's where we all grow out our hair. We raise money to shave our heads. And it's a huge thing, man. I call it St. Baldricks Day. It is my favorite day of the year. It's a huge party. There's these kids there, man, who they're the product. They're here today, or they're able to get up and come to our event today, directly related to the research that we're funding. They're coming straight out of the buildings that St. Baldricks is paying to build, I don't know. It's just to me, it's my favorite day. I'm all about positivity, just love, man. That's all I want to look at in the world. That's all that I want to see. I try to find it, as opposed to, you got to look for it anymore, because the negativity is what they throw in your face.
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, 7 years ago, I got involved with that. Just started shaving my head. The problem was 7 years ago, my general haircut was just a buzz cut, right? So nobody wanted to pay for me to just go get a haircut. So I had to come up with other ways, right? We started off with hair dye. I think that first year I had purple hair for, I don't know, a month or so before the event.
I did some Facebook digging on your Facebook. I saw some rainbow hair one of the years.
Yeah. It's one of those things we just kind of escalated it every year. Some might say that I went a little too far. I used to drink a lot. So let's see. We did the regular hair dye, and then we did the rainbow. Now, mind you, I'm a diesel mechanic. You know what I mean? I work with hard men, so this is it's pretty
Walking
embarrassing.
With rainbow hair, yeah.
You got it.
You're catching shit.
But here's the best part about it, man, because they can't let it go. So when they see it, they want to give me shit about it, and I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. yeah, here's why I'm doing it. And every time, man, I end up with a pocket full of cash when people start talking about it to get to these kids.
Exactly.
So that's always been my, since I saw that benefit my first year, as soon as I got that hair dye, it's like everybody was asking me about it. And then all I had to do was tell them what I was doing. And they're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to give some money for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was 7 years ago. Started off with just a regular hair dye.
So this all started off with did the tournament start 7 years ago?
No.
Or did this just start with you guys being involved with St. Baldricks Foundation?
This really all stemmed from my association with the St. Baldricks Foundation through the fire department.
Gotcha. So the stuff with the hair is more or less a conversation starter.
Sure. It's a separate, right. We'll call it a separate event. It's a separate event for the same cause.
Yeah.
Right. So, come 2021, the actual fundraising event, the head shaving event, just had to be canceled because of COVID. And the way that their fundraising structure is set up, it's all about contact and face to face. So, I mean, it really decimated the foundation for the whole year.
Yeah. This is 2020. The first year of COVID?
No, 2020, because we had gotten the ball rolling. COVID didn't drop until March, but we were already scheduled for April. We did end up having to go virtual for the shave, but we did okay. The 2021 was when they just canceled it altogether. So I decided to just get involved myself. You can actually just log on to stbaldricks.org, open up your own little fundraising campaign anytime you want and go for it. So that's what I decided to do. Just, got myself registered and started doing my thing, trying to collect money like we normally do. I was looking for that next, spectacle. What spectacle is it going to be next to get people to donate? So I just usually at the beginning of the year, I throw something out to Facebook and, hey, what do you guys got this year? What are we doing? And my buddy's like, well, why don't you just do a kayak fishing tournament? I'm like, okay, why not? I don't know. So, yeah, I'll look into it. So, one text message later, and we were building a tournament, man. We didn't have a lot of time. I had never done anything like this before. I'm an angler, but I had never organized a tournament, never organized an event. If we walk outside and look at my van, I don't organize anything, yeah. But I grabbed a couple guys, and we ground one out. It was a tough year. We learned a lot, had a lot of good sponsorship. The community really responds when we reach out to them.
Yeah.
So,
well, especially the fishing community. I mean, everyone I talk to on a daily basis now are all fishing guys. I have my high school friends. They're near and dear to my heart. Those are the guys that are in your wedding. But in the fishing community, is just a totally separate group of guys. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Because you're in the fishing community. It's like, someone hits you up on Facebook. Next thing, a year later, you're going on vacation with these guys. You're spending a lot of time with these fishing people, the fishing community. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I've always been a fisherman. I've always loved fishing, but the community is insane. I really wish I could talk about what I'm doing right now and how the fishing community has responded, but I'm sure what we're about to talk about with your foundation, it kind of mirrors it. Everyone steps up and steps in,
right.
And it's like chokes you up, man.
Yeah.
Like these last couple of days, I've been getting choked up seeing the stuff that people are doing for me right now.
Right.
But it's and not only just like last year, I ran just a striper tournament. It wasn't a charity, and now that I think about it, I should have done that and donated the money somewhere.
Sure.
I mean, just anybody, like all these like lure makers, they were willing to pitch in. It wasn't even for like a good cause or anything.
Sure.
But, it's amazing what the fishing community can do. Sorry,
that's okay, man.
Back
that's okay.
You.
I'm really glad to kind of turn off in that direction, because it all just ties in. You're right. It's there are certain things that you can just expect to find in our community. When you need help, you can expect to find it there.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to weed through the stuff these days, but the people are there who, they want to step up. They want to come forward and help. I mean, I got a list sitting here with 33 sponsors. I mean, these are just people that I've either reached. Some of them I reached out to. A lot of guys just reach right out to me.
Yeah.
What's from down Katy Lynn, Shane Crowley from down Katy Lynn. After the last tournament, it texted me immediately. He said, "Hey, I didn't see this was a thing. I'll make you a rod next year." So I already had my very first donation for this one as soon as the other one ended.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it popped up this year, first guy on the phone, man. So
So how did last year's tournament go? I mean, was it a hit?
It made a splash. Made a little splash. Last year for me, the important thing was to put together a solid tournament. Just I wanted the guys who came to not have issues with how things went, to have a good time, and to just be a good time. It mattered less to me how many people were involved, than just creating that base.
Yeah, well,
right?
you lay the foundation for the years to come.
Exactly.
I fished in that Fish for a Cure tournament this year with my buddy Bobby, Brad, and Dave, and this was my first year doing it, but I'm sure that tournament actually, in fact, I know because they were talking about the progression through the years. It started off with just a couple grand, and this year it was like an insane amount of money. Teams were up in the $80,000-$90,000. I believe that were the metrics, if not more.
Sure.
But you got to lay a foundation for sure, and it doesn't just blow up overnight.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. We I feel like this year we've already made really significant gains, just based purely on, or mostly on, what we learned last year. Just the fact that there were people out there in the community who just remembered us from last year. Because one of my adjustments this year is to the advertising strategy. I don't know. I tried to beat everybody over the head with my advertising last year, and I just slammed it everywhere I could. Things like that. So I'm trying to do, make it a little more enticing, not so overbearing with the advertising this year. But I'm actually kind of running into a problem because I got 33 sponsors right now. I have to get ads out for all 33 guys.
Well,
I got to mix them in.
We're on a podcast. Send me some logos, man.
Yeah, there you go.
I got an editing program. I can get all these sponsors out here.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever
we can do.
Yeah, hell yeah. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Matter of fact, when I leave here, I am probably going to be sending them all an email just for an update and all, and I'll throw that out there. Awesome. I'll actually go ahead and add you.
No, it's mutual marketing,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I want to benefit.
Right. But this is the way. Yeah.
Exactly.
This is the way.
Yeah.
This is the way we do it.
Yeah, exactly. This podcast has taken many different turns. It's not a big or even medium-sized podcast. We're still in inception,
sure.
And still, every guest that comes on, this thing's changing. Last year I had these grandiose dreams that I was going to have a guest every week, and I'm like planning everything out. Well, it doesn't fall that way. You can only talk about fishing so much.
That's true.
And my favorite episodes so far have been the ones with subjects like this that involve the fishing community but aren't about fishing.
Sure.
There's a lot of fishing podcasts out there, and it's guys talking about what lures they use, and man, we'll all find our own way. We know how to fish. That's fine. Let's talk. I like talking about fishing community, and how it's doing good for people. And I don't have to talk about fishing at all.
That's it.
My favorite episode last year was a recovery episode with my buddy with Chris Novak. We barely talked about fishing.
Right.
It was just interesting. So last year's tournament, how many people, how much money did you guys raise?
We ended up donating a little over $2,000. We ended up donating a little over $2,000. We did. Let's see. We had quite a few awesome prizes last year. We're moving in a slightly different direction, but we had a biggest bass contest. The winner of that got to go. Got a guided snakehead trip with the River Queen, Kayla. Haley. Is it Haley or Hale? I don't know how to say it.
I think it's Hale, yeah.
Whatever. I've only ever read it before.
Yeah, I've talked to her a couple times on Instagram. She's pretty nice, but she seems like a slayer.
You don't even know, man. She is the slayer.
Would she have a jet boat?
Yeah, I think she's got a jet now. That's what she got a couple years ago, right? Yeah,
Well,
yeah, it was a jet.
Like I said, I don't know her though. I've talked to her a couple times,
Sure.
just kind of picking her brain. But it seems like she gets up there with that jet boat.
Tell me about
Some gnarly shit, dude. Stuff that I wouldn't do.
Right, like some of those pictures of the just the white water behind
turbulence,
her. She's just standing there holding a fish. Like
in inopportune times of the year to catch fish too.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
she's
pretty
amazing,
cool.
man. Her father, I can't remember what the guy's name is now, but her father is also a legend.
Yeah.
In the area. And you can obviously see. I mean, just with the fish she catches. I mean, look at the deer she shoots, man.
Yeah.
She's an awesome hunter too.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's awesome. It's I love seeing that, and I love seeing these. There's these girls coming up in our community. She's part of was it Light?
The ladies light
The
tackle
ladies
team.
light
It's like
tackle,
the JLS.
Yeah.
Ron and his wife Jamie, and then there's a couple other girls on there. But it's like you see them going down to Florida and
Yep.
fishing in these
Yep.
tournaments, and they're
Yep.
kicking ass. It's really cool.
It's just awesome that the diversity is there, man. You know what I mean. I mean, I'm not sexist or anything, but women enjoy things different than men do. I think they, their smiles get bigger. At least the ones we see pictures of, they get these giant smiles and they're so happy.
Yeah, well, they're kicking the boys' ass. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's probably what it is. We're coming out to what the boys are doing, and we're showing them up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how it goes. I'll take my wife fishing, and every single time. I don't think I've ever out-caught my wife. I've been married for 18 years.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever out-caught my wife every time she beats me.
Mine's usually pretty terrible luck when we go out.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll adjust that. This year I went out with my buddy Brett just recently for perch fishing, and dude, I couldn't catch a yellow perch to save my life. Everybody on the boat was catching yellow perch. It's not hard to do. We're all doing the same thing, bottom dropper rigs, and I was getting frustrated. Everyone's laughing at me. My wife caught 20. I caught maybe one or two.
Yeah. So that sounds awfully familiar. How long have we been friends on Facebook? We've been a while. So, have you heard about the striper curse? Okay. I don't know. My 38th birthday's coming up here soon. I've lived on the
Is
banks.
this like a local thing?
Oh yeah. I've lived. It's just me. I've lived on the banks of the Susquehanna River most of my life, between Perryville and I moved to Havre de Grace in 2000. I've been living there since then. Fished my entire life. My father and I, in the summertime, we went fishing every single day, perch fishing. We fished a lot of creeks and just drowning bait. I never learned how to catch a rockfish. Never learned how to catch stripers when I was young. And at 30, almost 38 years old, I've still never boated my own keeper-size rockfish
In the flats?
anywhere.
What?
Anywhere. Other than on charter boats, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
I have to catch it myself, right? Like I can't.
Yeah.
But I need the help. It's like I go out with guys. It's the same situation, man. We're all sitting there. There's like 4 people. We're out on kayaks. We're all doing the same thing, and everybody's got fish but me. It's the curse.
That's insane.
I'm telling you, it's something else.
Is it
man.
like for lack of trying, or have you been out a ton?
There is some lack of trying. There is some lack of trying because I just follow where my mind takes me. If I get up in the morning and I feel like going bass fishing, I'm going bass fishing.
Yeah.
If I feel like getting the kayak out, I'm getting it out. I just like to follow the flow of it because there's just so much out there.
Well, it's only getting harder these days finding striper around here.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
Especially with them, they shut down catch. I'm a catch and release guy.
Yeah, me too.
I don't. Maybe I'll keep one striper that got, throat hooked or something. Sure. And bleeding. I know he's going to die regardless. Yep. We'll eat him, but. Yep. Yeah, I mean, dude, last year was actually my best year of striper fishing up here, but it was the last 2 days in March.
Okay.
I went out March 1st and fished the whole month, and it was like, we'd pick off, 5, 6 fish. The last 2 days were blowing 30, and I said, screw it, man. I got to see what's out there, and those are the best 2 days of fishing.
Gotcha.
But, it's not getting any better around here for striper. Sure. Something's killing these things off.
Yeah, something is. I don't know. Those are hot topic things, right? Like those are the ones that people sit down. It's like politics at dinner for me. I don't give an opinion. I don't really get involved in the conversation. The whole snakehead thing. I don't care what anybody else does. I'm going to do what I do.
Yeah.
It's really not anybody's business. I don't care to discuss it.
Yeah.
Just because it turns nasty, man.
It does.
People just get nasty about it so much.
Yeah, I had Have you watched any other episodes of the podcast?
No, I
Gotcha.
haven't. Yeah, I just started learning about. I don't even know how to watch podcasts yet. Like I'm real new to this whole technology thing.
Most of them are on YouTube. There's
Okay.
There's Spotify. I didn't get in podcasts till like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now I'm obsessed with them. I mean, every time I'm driving, I'm listening to Rogan or these comedy podcasts, other fishing podcasts. It's just nice because it's open dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like when you're watching the news or any of these talk shows and you got 3 minutes to get your thoughts out. I mean, you can see how we've gone in the first 15 minutes here. It just goes topic,
Yeah.
and it moves around and you get to elaborate on things. So it does allow you to talk about things that may be controversial or political, as long as you're respectful about it. But yeah, no, I mean, what I was getting at is I had like David Sikorsky, who's I forget his title. He's high up in CCA, Coastal Conservation Association. I believe that's what it stands for. And I kept trying to reel him in to like get his he was being very proper and respectful on the topic. But he had a really good way of looking at everything. He doesn't condemn guys who keep. He doesn't condemn catch and release. He just kind of he said we need better metrics, because that's the truth right now. What DNR is doing with everything, there's just, where are the studies? Where are they coming from? No one knows. So you see on Facebook the head boats are battling the catch and release guys and vice versa, and it's like, look, none of us know what the fuck any of us are talking about. It's the same thing with COVID, which also I refuse to talk about COVID on the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
But no one knows what we're talking,
Right.
what the metrics are. So until then, how can any of us make an educated argument here?
Yeah.
But I guess back to the foundation. So what are the goals this year?
Okay. Matter of fact, I don't know if I even actually said the name. So this is our second year. It's the St. Baldricks Heroes fishing tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So last year was just a straight bass tournament on the kayaks.
Mm-hmm.
This year
was it striped bass?
Straight bass.
Straight
I'm
bass,
sorry,
okay.
yeah, black bass tournament.
Gotcha.
This year will be black bass tournament. We're going to run 2 tournaments side by side. I thought it was a brand new thing, and I started like throwing it out there that, hey, look what this awesome idea I came up with. Turned out Tom Best has been doing it down at Frog Eaters a while, so just FYI, I didn't steal his idea. Tom, I didn't steal your idea, bro. I came up with it on my own.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike, homie. So actually, Tom and Frog Eaters are another one of our sponsors, man. But so this year we're running two tournaments side by side. You can actually buy into one or buy into both. To buy into one will be $50. To buy into both is $75. All of that's going to go straight to the foundation. If you're into both, you can actually you'll be eligible to win a grand champion prize. We have a grand champion prize. I have a grand champion prize in my possession, but I am still actively working toward. I mean, I want the grand champion prize to be like the grand champion prize. You know what I mean. So I have one worth fishing for. I have one right now worth fishing for in my hand. But I'm trying to just make it as big, man, as big as I can possibly get it. I want a pile of stuff sitting on that table that guys see and are like, all right, I got to go fish for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got to go fish for that bonus that or if that's their way of thinking. For me, I'm jumping in. I'd donate the money even if I wasn't going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll see that I'll be on that registration and registered as an angler, but there won't be any submissions from me because I'll be sitting at a computer all day.
Logging photos.
Doing what they do. Yeah. I'm, doing what they do.
So what are the 2 tournaments?
The 2 tournaments, that's right. We have, so it's a bass tournament and a snakehead tournament. They're running side by side. Those tournaments are best 3 fish, total length, all CPR. There will be a first, second, and third place prize payout. Each of those legs has its own championship prize. And it's, for best 3 for those. And then the grand champion prize, it's still a little in the air. I can't nail it down whether I want to do total bag between both tournaments or just biggest fish from both tournaments. I I gotta really try to look at it from all angles and try to minimize the likelihood of one person winning everything, which is, I think, is possible.
Do you guys have any? So some of these tournaments have. I may spark an idea for you.
Sure,
here.
man. Sure.
Some of these tournaments have like cheater packages. You know, have you ever like done a charity golf tournament where you can buy like
buy the mulligans, things
buy
like
the
that.
mulligans? You know, have you ever thought about like if guys donate an extra amount of money, they add are the fish weighed in pounds or inches?
It's all inches.
It's all inches.
Yep.
You know, I wonder if it's a decent idea. Guys can spend a little bit of extra money and buy themselves an inch or two.
Yeah, man, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just an idea. You
Sure,
see it. You
yeah.
see it in golf tournaments, and I mean, some of these charity fishing tournaments, they have like the
That's a
the
great
mulligan
idea.
package per
Yes,
se.
that's a
But
great
you know, I guess when the end goal is really money donated, you know, the more money you get, the more successful tournament.
That's it. It's funny because, you know, for me, I started my career very young. It's kind of always been able to make money, so it doesn't mean as much to me as it probably should.
Yeah.
I'm not a greedy guy. I give it very freely. I know I can always go get it when I need it, that sort of thing, which is the worst way to think. It's, you know, that's going to leave me broke at the end of my life, but I'm
Can't
okay
take it with you when you get
That's
it,
it, brother. And if I'm giving it away, I'd like to be giving it to people who need it.
Yeah. So is the foundation or the tournament per se? Does it pick like one recipient, or is it just all towards the foundation?
It all goes straight toward the foundation. So the St. Baldricks Foundation, it's a big deal. They're out in California. They deal with millions and millions a year. But what they actually do is people apply for grants.
So it's like a scholarship almost.
Yeah. A scholarship, but it's to pay for research, or in some cases they've actually built research facilities. They added a big wing to St. Jude's not too long ago, maybe 2-3 years ago.
That's a children's hospital.
Yep, Children's Hospital. Yep. So that's what they do. The thing is, you know, if you look at some of the metrics for funding from the government, from special interests, things like that, like 80% of the funding available for cancer research is for adults. The diagnosis is different in kids. The treatment is different in kids. I mean, you know, in my opinion, it should probably be the other way around, because if we can save them young, they can get old without cancer.
Yeah, well, and just from afar, I don't know if there's any facts behind this, but it seems like every time when kids have cancer, they're the ones that have the very rare cancers, or the ones that are hard to really figure out what it is. And if no one deserves cancer, but kids, that pulls on your heartstrings, because they just started their life, starting at a disadvantage. It's absolutely awful. So I mean, what you're doing is awesome, man. That's great. And it seems like it kind of came out of nowhere, right?
Yep.
I mean, just
it was
kind of random.
It's like I was saying before, seven years ago. It got a hold of me. That's it. It pulled my heartstrings, and it just never let go.
Yeah.
It became a thing that we do. We do every year, and every year I've gotten more excited about it. This whole tournament thing, I just fell into it. I wasn't even sure we were going to do anything this year. Last year was just to try to make some money, because nobody was making any money for the foundation. So just trying to scramble up something. Had a good time doing it. Had a real good feel good buzz about it. Coming around time this year, just with all the stuff that I learned, and we're doing our regular head shaving event this year, which is when I say a big deal, we've raised in excess of $90,000 at that event, or with that event, in years past.
You do it at the firehouse?
No. So we used to do it at a place called Bill Bateman's. I
remember Bill Bateman's.
Okay.
Wait, I thought Bill Bateman was over by the college.
You're thinking
Bittner's. Bill Bittner's.
Yep. So this year we're actually doing it at the Seaplane Landing Base for La Banque de Fleu or something. Yeah, there's an event venue in Havre de Grace that owns this seaplane base, and it's the La Banque something. It's French. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome place. And they set up a band, or not a bandstand, but a big grandstand where the shavees go up. They're getting their head shaved. There's an MC all day. It's my buddy Billy Berg, member of the fire department here, which is how I met him. But he's also a career firefighter at BWI. And this was his baby, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, because I missed the first year. I didn't know about it yet.
Is this tied into like Locks for Love type thing, like where the hair is donated or anything?
Sort of, yeah. We do, or they do, some stuff like that with, Locks of Love is actually one I believe that they don't recommend that you donate the hair to, because I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it for sure and be wrong. You have to be careful which of those hair donation organizations you make your hair donation to, because some of them charge the kids for the wigs. We don't give them to them. We give them to the ones that are going to give kids for nothing. We don't.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that happens all the time. There's usually I'd say probably 2 or 3 girls up there every year with just really really long ponytails, and they get it cut down to something short. They don't shave their heads usually.
Yeah.
Plenty of women up there shaving their heads though, man. I'm telling you, it's a wild, crazy day, and it's just so much fun. Much fun. So
that's really cool, man. So what kind of what platform are you doing the tournament with this year? Are you just running it yourself on Facebook, or? I'm
running the whole thing. So we used the website last year, and it worked. It worked okay, but it didn't fit the needs for. It was a little advanced, I guess, is really what it comes down to. It had too many features. It had too many things. It was for running big tournaments.
Yeah.
It was just too much. You know what I mean? So this year I simplified everything. The registration process it's all going to be listed. It's on our website. It's on the Facebook page, things like that. It's actually going to take you straight to the foundation's page, the event page that they've created for this. You're going to make your donation directly to the foundation. And then after that, you're just going to send an email to my email address with your name, pertinent information, name, phone number, email, which tournaments you entered, and then I'll verify and you're in. That's it. You go on the list.
So you're doing it all yourself?
Everything.
That's awesome, man.
Everything. Well, I'm sorry. That's not true. That is not true. That is not true. I have a team. All right, I have a team who is, I got some kick-ass people helping me out. We are doing it ourselves.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha, yeah.
Right. Yeah. A couple of those guys are supposed to be here, but they're dads.
Is
what I mean?
Mark doing it with you?
Yep, Mark Rohde's with me. Tony Berries is with me. Those guys are big in the fishing community. Tony and his son own Spectra Baits. And also my best friend Matt Gillespie. You only been here 3 years. He lives. I don't know, you can throw a rock from here in his house, right over in the manor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not far. And then my mother, you know how that goes. Whatever I'm into, mom's full force.
Yeah.
She's working on the website for us. She's got just such a plethora of awesome skills that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Yeah, she's my superhero. She's who I got left in my life. Who is just, I know I can count on her to do the damn thing.
A go-getter.
You got it.
She doesn't know, she'll figure it out.
You got it. Anything for me. Anything for me. That's just our relationship we have. It's that's a solid thing. We work well together. We've always been together, me and her, since day one, and that's just we've had to help each other throughout our lives, and that kind of develops that ability to get together and work on a common goal. I couldn't do it without her. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I need her for everything. So
it sounds like you have a solid foundation, and like I said, I mean, dude, you see these tournaments like Tangier Classic, Fish for a Cure. They all start the same way you're starting right now, and they blow up into these huge, monumental donations for these foundations. It's incredible, man. So and I'm sure it feels good too to do this stuff. And everyone, I'm like I said, I don't want to talk about what I'm doing right now, but right. I mean, everyone reaches out to you, and it's like, man, it is like selfishly, it feels good to do this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a high.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we'd be remiss to ignore that or, you know, I don't think we should feel guilty at all.
No, it's okay to take a little bit of credit.
Absolutely, and just let. I mean, it's you know, it's not even about the credit. It's just about that feeling in your heart, man.
Yeah.
That, you know, you're doing something. Knock on wood. Thank goodness. You know, there's no benefit here to me.
Yeah.
I'm not helping any of my family or any of my kids.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what makes it so much better. I don't have to do this. I'm just.
Yeah.
I love people. I found something that sets my heart on fire, and I want to help. And it feels good. It feels good when you can. You know, it feels good when you can. It's not about the pat on the back or hey man, you're doing a great job. It's about pushing that button where that cash goes over. You know, and then the thank you that I like to get is the thank you that I get from the foundation when they say thanks for an awesome year of fundraising for us.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm after, man. I'm I'm on a journey. I don't know
A mission.
I'm on a mission, bro.
Yeah, missionary.
I'm on a mission. August 14th, 2020, I checked myself into rehab. Real bad drinking problem. I had been really getting out of hand for probably a solid 10 years, I guess. I'm still trying to figure out how far back I was still screwing it up, man, because it's still some of it's blurry, but I got in there and got straight. And pissed off to just be better than I was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm using the Ray Lewis terminology, just pissed off for greatness, man. This was not me. So I started this journey, and I talk about Alcoholics Anonymous, which I'm a member of. Without that program, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And it was, I talk about it a ton in the respect that it was the springboard for me to step off of. Like that wasn't what changed my life. I mean, it was, but it was the foundation of what I learned and then took from there into my mental health and just, looking at my life and being like, why have I been struggling with this when all I got to do is straighten it out, get off my ass and do something about it.
That's a grand question for a lot of people in AA.
Right.
I know you said you hadn't seen any other episodes, but I've done, out of the handful of episodes I've done, 2 have been recovery guys. Frank Morrison.
The names are familiar.
Frank Morrison he's a Facebook fool,
Yep.
so you've probably seen him around. He is on everybody's post. He's a troll.
Okay.
I love you, Frank. I'm not talking shit about you. Great guy, and I mean, like I said, with the fishing community, there's a lot of guys in recovery, and a lot of these guys that I talk to in recovery, AA or NA. They're some of the most fascinating, interesting, giving, caring people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, man.
And it's amazing what that program does for people. It has a bad stigma. It used to, I guess, without me knowing anything about it. And I didn't mean that in like an offensive way,
okay.
but
yeah, you're good.
The more and more I hear about it and see how it's flipped people around and really like what you're doing with this foundation, it's incredible, man. Yeah, are you comfortable talking about it at all?
All day, brother.
I was going to say,
I'm an open book.
Seems like everybody I've talked to so far, Frank and Chris, and they're like, it's our job to be open about it.
You got it.
It's part of the path to recovery.
Somebody who's listening right now might want help.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? And that's actually the 12th step of the program is to take the message to the next guy. That's how we stay sober.
Yeah.
Because we keep it fresh by helping the next guy.
Exactly.
And then he's going to take it. That's how it all started, man. It started with a couple guys laying in a hospital bed, trying to figure out how to stop dying from drinking. They were dying, man, going into sanitariums. Just back in the 1930s when they figured it out.
Yeah. Well, I told you a little bit before the podcast. I've never, I would say, derailed my life, but it's, I enjoyed drinking quite a bit to the point where like I could feel it affecting my body. I just turned 30 years old, and I'm like, I don't want it to turn there. So, thankfully I was, it's not even like that I'll never have another beer again or anything, but it just, I don't know. I just feel better these days.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the event for you that kind of just said, I gotta go to rehab?
Okay. Are you ready? Because it's a good one.
I'm ready.
All right. August 14th, 2020, the day of my last drink. I'd been drinking heavy for quite some time. by then. And when I say heavy, I mean I was a whiskey guy. Love me a bottle of whiskey. And I'd put enough away to pass out. That was my go-to. Get home from work, start drinking, drink till I passed out.
Were you the kind of guy that would I don't know, incriminate yourself? Were you the kind of guy that needed it when you woke up first thing in the morning?
No. Thank goodness. And I really don't even understand how. I don't understand how.
There's different levels of this, and it's
Absolutely.
not and it's not saying one is harder than or easier than the other. My best friend growing up was the severe closeted alcoholic. He was able to, and somehow, I mean, I just give him all the credit in the world. He was somehow able to turn it around without a program, but I'm sure he struggled more than others because he didn't have a support system, and I told him that a month or two ago, I said, I'm with these recovery guys all the time, and it's just constant support, and talking about it, and him, with him, he had to bottle it up because all his friends were still drinking. He didn't have a group of, I know exactly.
I couldn't even imagine.
Exactly.
I couldn't even imagine
You
those first few days or weeks or even months of not drinking and having people drinking. I couldn't even imagine.
Well, the fucked up thing, and this is self-admitted, that I was enabling him to drink again because I didn't know better. I didn't know how bad it was, and it's incredible what he's done. Absolutely incredible. That's not the way to go, though. There's an easier way.
Absolutely.
I'm not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not endorsing doing it by yourself. It's a much harder way.
There's a saying in the recovery community that when you express the way that you try to help people, you don't tell them what to do. This isn't about me telling you how to live your life. This is about me sharing my experiences, and because we're both drunks, a lot of our experiences are just going to line up, and these things are going to start making connections.
Yeah.
And that's how we help, is by showing. Yeah, we did all that too, man. All woke up on the floor covered in. Oh yeah, we've done that. We've done that too. Woke up in the wrong house. Yeah, we've done all that. So people feel like, well, I'm not the only one. And then we moved the conversation to what we did to get better. And that's it, man.
Well,
it's all right in front of you.
It seems that the root of it is like way before you make the move to NA or AA. You want to do it years before you ever go there. It's about finally pulling the trigger and doing it.
You got it.
But back to it. I cut you off.
Yep, back to it. All right. And you're absolutely right. I'm glad you said that, though. It's a good tangent. I stood outside of several AA meetings years ago in the midst of the worst of my drinking, and just couldn't push myself to go in not until August 14th, 2020. So August 14th, 2020, I hadn't been drinking a lot because in that past year I had picked up a meth habit. Yeah, man, just 37 years old, responsible. I'm a father of two. I've held down jobs my entire life. I'm a volunteer firefighter. I've coached youth in the past. I wasn't always this messed up, but I had gotten so messed up that the alcohol wasn't it anymore, and I just needed anything to feel better.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, right? And I got hooked on the meth, like I knew I was going to do the very first time that I took it. So about a year goes by. I've been using meth, lost a ton of weight. And I was thoroughly hooked, and I had a moment one day that I gotta stop. This is gonna kill me. So in my van, I called my boss, who's also in recovery. I kind of wish I didn't say that because he's also my sponsor. He's also a sponsor for our events, and I can't even really mention him. But great guy. I called him up and said, "Boss, I got something to tell you." I said, all this weight I'm losing is because I've been on drugs. I was down like 50 pounds. I was thin and bones. Yeah. I told him right there, that was one of my moments. I was done with it. But he told me on the phone, he said, "Well, you think you need to go into recovery?" And I said, No. I said, "I've done this before. I'm just going to go home and sweat it out like I've had to do in the past. Because I've had these problems, these recurring problems. And every time I would see it for the problem it was developing into, and I would stop doing it. And to me, that meant I wasn't an addict and I wasn't an alcoholic, even though it just kept happening over and over and over. It was this pill or that pill or something. It's like there was always something I fell back into.
Yeah.
So August 14th, I had been off the meth for about 3 weeks.
So you had sweated it out and broken the
Yep.
physical addiction.
Correct. I told my family, told my wife about it, told my mother about it.
Did no one have any idea?
My wife had an idea.
Yeah. Well, you don't just lose 50 pounds
Right.
without running marathons.
You
every day.
got it. You got it. So yeah, she had an idea. I spent a lot of time by myself. I'm a very isolated guy. I like to sit and I just need quiet a lot and time to think to myself a lot. So it was easy for her to miss it because I'm not constantly in everybody's face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To miss it for a while, she thought I was just, I don't know, in good shape. Like all of a sudden I was just happy for a while. So
Yeah.
she probably decided to leave it be. But yeah, there toward the end, she suspected. So when I told her, it was a real hard thing to tell the mother of my kids that I had made that move to hard drugs, and I was really, really flirting with bad stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got through that. Here I am, the rock star. I'm not an addict and I'm not a drunk because I'm going to stop doing this right now. Fast forward 3 weeks, I'm finally starting to feel like a human being again. I get a message from a friend of mine. I don't know how far I can really get into that. A friend of mine who I relate to in a very professional manner also, we'll say, calls me up, says, "Hey man, we're having a couple beers, hanging out in the pool, y'all come over." So I do. Now mind you, I had not been drinking for a very long time because there just wasn't any point with the other chemicals. And I got into a bottle of Tito's and I drank most of it after, I'd say, probably a few months of really weaned down.
Yeah, you were drinking like your old self could handle.
I picked it straight up, and that's what, man, we can get all back into that too,
Yeah.
how they tell you as soon as you get back into it, you go straight back to where you were, and I sure did, bro. I blacked out. I blacked out drunk. I was blacked out for about 6 hours. I assaulted several people, damaged property. One of my best friends and brothers in the fire department, black fella, and I was racist. I said racist things to him. I put my hands on a woman. I think there are certain things that I did that night that people can't even talk to me about.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I was raised by women, and that's the one that just, I'm not a racist,
Yeah.
but I'm as far away from a guy who would put his hands on women as you could ever possibly get.
Yeah.
My mother, my sister, and my grandmother are the people who raised me. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Even that, finding that out the next morning, that wasn't even enough. When I woke up in the hospital, because I had been committed for a 72-hour evaluation, woke up in the hospital with a broken hand. I was wearing swimming trunks. I had no shorts or no shoes, no shirt, keys, wallet, phone, nothing. I did, left the hospital that morning, just started walking through my hometown that way to try to get home. Luckily, my wife picked me up, and I started getting the news about what had happened the night before, right? And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? I got to really watch my drinking is what I'm thinking. I got to really be careful with how much I drink now.
Yeah.
I even went to...
Which is a poisonous thought.
Exactly, right? I didn't have the ability at the time to see past that yet. But yeah, I called my friend whose house I was at, and I made a point of going there and apologizing and talking to him, just trying to figure out exactly what happened. And, I'm so sorry. They know me, and they know that's not me, but that doesn't make you feel not even a little bit better about anything, So I went and did that and talked with them some, and they recommended treatment for me, and I told them flat out, I told them no. Says, I don't need that. I'll get myself straight, like I've always done. It wasn't until I found out that the broken hand, I jumped out of a car, my mom's car, who ended up on, there were 30 people in the street. The fire chief was there. Fire chief probably kept me out of jail that night, Yeah, it wasn't until I found out that I had jumped out of my mom's car because for some reason I got very angry with her while she was trying to take me home.
Yeah.
And then tried to beat my way back into the car to kill her, telling her I was going to kill her.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. My mom that day looked me in the eye and said, son, you were going to kill me. You were coming. I could see it. And, my wife and kids could have been in that car. That could have been my baby girl, my daughter.
Yeah. So what was was that the final thing that pushed you?
That was it. I made the phone call that minute. I made the phone call to a man named Ken Byer that minute. He runs it's called Harbor of Grace. It's a recovery center in Havre de Grace that.
It's a pretty renowned one, isn't it?
I guess I don't.
I know there's a big recovery place in Havre de Grace that's pretty well known.
You may be thinking of Father Martin Ashley.
Okay.
And this is actually Father Martin Ashley is who Ken Byer learned from and learned how to handle this and set up and operate. And when I tell you that they're doing amazing things at Harbor of Grace Recovery, I'm in touch with all the people I was with, and a lot of us are doing well, when statistically not many of us are supposed to.
Yeah.
They specialize in first responders there. So they actually have separate programs that are just for first responders where, I can't sit in an AA meeting and talk about the things I've seen on the back of a fire truck.
Yeah.
I can go to that meeting with the first responders and I can tell them all about it,
Yeah.
So, they're doing great things. They're doing great things there, but
what's crazy, this is all, I love these talks. Thank you for being so open about it. It's I don't want to, interesting is the wrong word, but I love learning about it and seeing how people better themselves, and all the stories that I've heard. I would urge you to go watch the other podcasts where guys talk about this, because all the stories are almost exactly the same.
Right.
It is wild.
Yeah.
How they're almost all exactly the same, and the moment of clarity right before NA, and it is wild shit. And everyone I've talked to is so open about it, and these are all things that, I guess embarrassing to say the least, but it's at the heart of it. It's not the person it's not the real people doing these awful things, it's the drug, it's the addiction, it's, and I don't know anything about this stuff.
Sure.
So I don't know if I'm misspeaking or
well, we're not allowed. We're not. There are no rules.
Yeah.
Right. There are no rules. There is no box. It's the program is a guideline. Mm-hmm. You should practice every part of it, but you practice it how you want.
Yeah.
For me, it's a rule. I don't ever blame anything on the drugs, on the alcohol. At the end of the day, it was these hands and these feet.
The decision to use them. Yeah,
that's right. It was this brain.
Yeah.
So those things were me. I did do those things.
Yeah.
I will never own any less of it. But that's the important part, is that I'll stand right up here in front of anybody. I will put it on display, and I will say, I did do these things. Look at me now.
Yeah.
Look at me now. That's not who I am. That's a very dark place that I ended up in. But here I come.
In the light.
That's right. Back to the light. Back to who I used to be. I was this guy before.
I'll have to take you fishing with my buddy Novak. You guys have a lot in common. Yeah, he comes on my boat, and at first, when I first started hanging out with him, I don't want to say I was annoyed, but it's a little annoying when someone's on a phone call while you're fishing. Because he'd be on meetings while we were fishing, and someone's in the background talking. I'm like trying to get it up on plane and move. Yeah. Now I'm like, do your fucking thing, dude. Like, now that I know what this is all about, I'm like, this is incredible. It's it's a, I don't want to say a charity event, but it's the same type of thing. It's the same type of feel good story. Also with all this feel good, there's also, horror stories of fucking relapses. Mm-hmm. And it's, from what I've seen, it's just incredibly important just to believe in the process. It seems like you do. It seems like Novak and
I most certainly do.
yeah, Novak's he's 2 or 3 years clean now. Frank's like 9 years clean.
Nice.
Awesome. I mean, it's just incredible to hear about. And like I said, those are two of the nicest people, and with you up there with them, that I've ever met.
The program just teaches us how to get the bullshit out of the way.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It teaches us how to clean house, get back to a ground zero to the people that we are, right? People are generally good, right? I met a lady doing a drill for the fire department a little while back. Old lady from Germany named Etta. I'll never forget her. She was built like a linebacker, right? I was her escort on these steps. If one of us started to get out of breath, Etta was going to have to carry me, because I'm telling you, like, she had calves. That woman was built to run, But she was just the sweetest lady, and we were just talking. We were just just chatting on the way up, and something negative come up as it always does, and she stops and she turns around and looks at me and she says, "People are generally good. Even bad people are generally good." And to me, all right, old lady, keep walking. But you know how some things just kind of get stuck in you the more you think about it, right? Like, even the bad people, they love someone, right? They have good qualities. We all have these good qualities. For me in particular, or maybe, I don't know if I don't ever speak for everybody in anything, but because of our similarities to stories throughout recovery, I feel like I can speak for a lot of people. Once we learn to get through and wipe out the bullshit, right, which is all that the program teaches us, get everything out of the way that's not important, right? Follow what is, which is, your conception of God, or for me, it's just a universe thing. I don't need to put a face on it, and I don't like to. I just kind of talk to the world and whatever, and I just found that when I ask for things, I get them, or at least I perceive that I get them one way or another. It puts me in a positive outlook. It puts my head in the right space to move forward in the day without making bad decisions and make the next right decision. And when you're free like that, you can shine. You can get past anywhere you ever thought you even could be. Especially after you've been at it a while and you've just been so beat down, you didn't think you even had it in you anymore. Like, you thought all the good shit was gone, man. But nah, it's all still in there, and that's why I think you see when you look at someone who has truly embraced recovery and has given it their all, you see that shine on them. Because once you start pushing, man, like once you start getting fistfuls of just goodness and wholeness and rich experiences.
What I've noticed is with the guys I hang out with in recovery is there's a different view and a different way they see things. It's almost like they're able to read between the lines. One example, and it's all I guess part of the recovery. The guy Chris Novak, when he came on the podcast, he was telling me, he worked for a restaurant, which is not conducive for sober living.
Yep, you got
it. And he was, I can't remember if he was stealing or he talks openly about all this shit, so I don't mind talking about it.
Sure.
And I know he doesn't care.
Sure.
He was stealing or something. He got kicked out of this restaurant. Do never come back here. So he entered recovery. He starts his own business, and 3 years later, it was some anniversary of something, and that was the day that he just happened to be handed the keys to that business to do carpentry work while no one was there.
Wow.
And he it was just like he's reading between the lines and the beauty of the situation. He was kicked out, turns his life around, follows all these steps, and then, years later, he's handed the keys to this business that once he was told he was never allowed in. Yeah. You can't come here. Right. Not like you're fired, but you can eat here. Yeah. No, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just incredible.
And it happens, man. It happens. That's another great thing about being involved with the recovery communities. You get to see that happens so much.
Yeah, like 500-fold probably.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. You see them fall off. You see them pass away. But I tell you, I've seen people who, I know of a young lady that I met about a year and a half ago, very bad heroin addict. As you can imagine, I mean, heroin is really, really hard to get back from.
It's been, I don't know, maybe 10 years. My best friend in high school, one of my best friends, we had a very close-knit group of friends in high school. We got a call like 2 days before Christmas. No one knew he was doing heroin. Died. It was this big string of fentanyl. It was 4, 5, 6 kids that night in Harford County had died from heroin.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's both sides of the coin are important. Both sides of the coin are always important. Being sober, I keep saying sober. I'm past the sober thing, right? And I'm just about being happy. And I've gotten information from the program and from my time, therapy, and like when I dive into something, bro, there's no stopping me. I want every little scrap that I can get. That's why I can tell you, years back when I was hunting, I could tell you what the deer was thinking right when I shot it. You know, because I looked at every single aspect. I knew their biology, and anything like that, anything that I get fired up about, that's what I do. Recovery, obviously, being one of them. If I didn't get fired up, I probably wasn't gonna make it.
Yeah.
Fundraising is another good example, man. It fires me up. And
Well, that's an example of being fired about something healthy. I'm the same way. Look at this room. I had an idea. I'm going to build a podcast. So what I do, I go out in 2 weeks and build this room and start a podcast. Whether this thing ever goes anywhere, no idea. Right. But I do just dive headfirst in and then figure this shit out later.
Yep.
Which is sometimes an awful way to do things, but I don't know.
I still got a chainsaw sitting in my shed that needs a carburetor clean to run, and it's been that way for 2 years. But similar stuff. Yeah, if I decide I'm building a cave today, I'm building a cave today.
Yeah, exactly.
One of these days, I'll decide to go out and clean that chainsaw, and that'll be the day. But
so let's take a step back here. You said you grew up Harford County area, right?
Mm-hmm. Happy Grace, yeah.
Which camera just died? All right, we'll get back into it. We had a piss and smoke break there. All right, so let's get back into fishing a little bit. I had seen your name years ago on Susquehanna River Fishing Club, which I guess you could technically call me a member of that. When I first moved to town, I was just looking for some guys to hang out with, and I never did anything with the club. But I remember you being in it, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Yeah. So, Susquehanna River Fishing Club. That was 2018, I guess, is when I got involved. I was only involved with it for about the last year or so. It was, for those who are around and remember when the SRFC was in its prime, man, it was the place. Like it was all about positivity. It was just the place. It was the place to go to have good, meaningful conversations about going fishing, about fishing the flats.
Would you guys meet weekly and stuff?
They did all kind of stuff. Like before I had gotten involved, there were a lot more meetups, things like that. When I got involved, that last year, things were just changing. It was getting so big that things just had to change to keep up with it. So there were,
which is, to me, it was kind of crazy how many members were in it, because there's not that many people around here.
Yeah, right. So you have to remember the Susquehanna River runs north, and a lot of the guys, there are people from up north, and stuff like that. Now the vast majority of us were from just around here. The guy who got it started, actually I believe it was Don Goff and Darwin Hayward got it started together. Eventually, whatever it was that happened, as it progressed, it just seemed like when I got into it, Don was pretty much at the reins. Darwin wasn't really messing with it much. He was kind of doing his own thing. Man, he was out doing these like bucket list fishing trips, which he's always doing.
Still does.
Yeah, man.
He's a slayer.
Yeah, he's the best.
I've talked to him multiple times, and we've almost hooked up on trips, and it's either been bad weather, but we all fish with the same people.
Yeah.
And it's like if I go on a trip with my buddy Brad or whatever, Darwin's there the next day doing a trip. Yeah, but now he's a slayer.
Yeah, absolutely, and a great dude. Great guy. I met him through the fishing club, and you know, it was one of those lasting friendships that I made in the fishing community. Yeah, it was, you know, so that last year we had events that we did. We had a whole tournament schedule, and there were just different events that we did. So we did some work for like scientific stuff for the DNR, where we were tagging, or not tagging, but taking data, and at the end it had to go, or whatever he was doing. We just went fishing and sent him the stuff.
Yeah.
He handled all that. But yeah, it was you know, it was getting bigger. Eventually it had reached the point, you know, it was hard. It was a hard situation when the club dissolved. Particularly for those of us in the, you know, those of us on the pro staff who, I mean, we loved it, man. Like, and this was my reintroduction to fishing. I had stopped fishing for a long time. Moved into an apartment that was right on the water, had kayak access, kayak storage right on the bank. It was just a no-brainer. Get a kayak. Next thing you know, I'm out here fishing constantly. I'm running into guys from the club, just out back of my apartment. And it just went on from there. But, you know, we were all really good friends. We all, you know, we didn't do like big organized whatever, but there was a group chat, and yeah, every weekend, oh, I'm going to be here, and there was never like, you didn't see one of us at a ramp. There was always 2 or 3 of us at a ramp because, you know, we were all going fishing anyway. You know, it was hard for us then, because it was a very sudden ending. And we just, you know, we didn't understand. We couldn't see exactly why it took a little while. We had our hearts set, you know, so it hurts. It hurts, you know, whatever. So, in hindsight, right, and I got to the conclusion pretty quick. A few people I think haven't gotten there, don't care to. That's all between all of them. I have no ill feelings for anybody. I don't have time for that anymore anyway. So, yeah, it was just the.
It sounds like you can kind of compare it to when the Mayflower took the Colts away.
Well, if you really look, right, if you really look at these groups that we have and the groups that we have had in our community, they get to be a certain size, man, and there's enough people involved.
Politics, drama.
It just turns into something too big for itself. The Susquehanna River Fishing Club didn't turn into something too big for itself. It got to a point where it couldn't be sustained anymore without like full-time people to really, you know what I mean, like it needed a dedicated team of people who are not going to get paid for anything, even though at the time, and really what I don't know, maybe it was what caused arguments amongst people, but like I said, I don't really get into that. It had turned into, like, it got a business license, and some people just didn't like that. I saw it for what it was from the first second. I mean, this thing is huge. We have 20,000 people following what we're doing. There's, you know, we've got sponsors all over the place. They have great sponsors. If this club is going to continue to grow, which, as far as I know, was the idea, it needed to make money to do that, you know? And people thought that, well, you know, is the money for the club? Is the money for this guy, that guy? And you know how it goes, man. The money's involved. People just, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, what it sounds like to me, I've been in bands my whole life.
Okay.
And this is actually pretty comparable. I'm impressed with myself. I thought of this. So, you know, in all the bands I've been with, you know, certain ones have been more successful than others, but there's always been that time to where it's like, hey, can we tour now? And you have guys with jobs, and you come to that talk where it's like, you know, this guy's got an engineering degree, he's got a kid, he's got to support, and you're like, you know, if you ever want to do anything with this band, well, this is what we have to do, and then that's how bands break up, because everyone it's almost exactly the same. So no, I was just curious, you know, like you know, I wasn't too involved with it. I followed it, and it just kind of out of nowhere disappeared. So for you, are you like a bass guy?
Yep. Bass. Well,
predominantly?
I'm a. It's.
Oh, we know you're not a striped bass guy.
Well, it's true. Not a good one. Not a good one. But boy, I spend a lot of money and a lot of time going after them. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an everything guy, man.
Yeah.
I'm an everything guy. Bass was my first true love. Bass was the first one where I wasn't just sitting on the bank with a bank rig waiting on something to bite a worm, where I could actually try to trick something. So that's definitely what got me, what bit me
Yeah.
the hardest, we'll say. But yeah, man, I'll go for anything. I'm really fired up about the shad showing up here in a couple weeks and just being able to get out there and catch shad.
I've never done the shad run.
Okay.
I've only caught one snakehead. I live on the flats.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
don't. And I the only largemouth I've caught around here are in a cast net.
Okay.
I've just never targeted them. But and it's not that I it's not that I hate bass guys or think differently about them. Bass have just never largemouth or have just never piqued my interest too much.
Sure.
I love winter fishing for bass in like farm ponds.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll do that, but
sure.
I can't. There's too many other fish around that I'm a traveler too.
Yeah.
So like the flats are not. I almost never fish here. Fish
Sure.
here maybe 2 weeks a year.
Sure.
Maybe a little bit of yellow perch fishing, then I'm heading south.
Gotcha.
So I'm like cobia, red drum. Like,
Nice.
have you ever had any of those?
Nope.
Oh man, and you're a hunter too.
Yeah,
You have been?
getting back into it. That's another
Yeah.
one I'm coming back to.
So
yeah.
one that will destroy you, and I'll take you cobia fishing.
Okay.
Cobia fishing is hunting and fishing in one.
Yeah.
And it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah,
I mean, you
yeah,
just
yeah.
get so drawn into it, man. I mean, it's because you're chasing fish down. Cobia are very fast, very strong fish.
Yeah.
You've seen cobia.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And they come way further up in the bay than people realize.
Okay.
Not the flats.
Sure.
You're not gonna
Yeah,
catch
yeah,
cobia in
yeah,
the flats,
yeah.
but last year I put a hunting stand on top of my. You saw my little boat out there.
Yeah.
Put a hunting stand on top of my boat. This is all sight fishing.
Okay.
And you just drive around and look for these fish on top. They could be swimming from any which way your boat's going, and you got a 2-ounce, 2-ounce squid head or some kind of jig head on there. And man, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like the first year I did it, like I was awful at it.
Right.
I'm still bad at it.
You're right.
I take some guys out, and I call them snipers. Like I took my buddy Paul out, the guy who sold me the boat. We went out July 4th. We're about midway up the bay. I don't want to give the spot out, but within the half hour, he saw 2 cobia, put it right in front of their face, brought it in. No way I could have ever done that.
Right.
I'm not that good at that. But I'll take you out cobia fishing, man. If you're willing to go,
I'm down. I'm always down.
It's a blast. And then red drum are a close second to me.
Okay.
And those are both fairly healthy fishing populations.
Nice.
As long as social media doesn't ruin it.
Yeah, sure.
How do you feel about social media and fishing? This is one that I'm okay talking about politics wise.
Okay. Well, it's funny you say that. I was having a conversation with my mom shortly before I came up here. Mom had gotten away from social media altogether, and she's just kind of starting to get back into it, mainly to help with what I'm doing right now. But we're talking about it, and she's like, she dropped her social media because it's such a cesspool, right? Which any social media has the capability to be. I said, now that you're standing here and we're talking about it, we're actually thinking about it. You have 3 friends. You get to build your social media experience from here, right?
You pick who you follow.
You pick what you interact with here. You don't have to interact with the cesspool if you don't want. That's my take on it, right? Is that's what I do. I just don't get involved with the drama. I just talk about the positive things. I pick the good things out of stuff. I'm involved without being personally, because of how nasty it gets.
Oh yeah, man, you see some shit. The problem is people can hide behind it.
Oh yeah,
you can post something and then delete it.
Yeah.
3 years ago I deleted my Facebook that I'd had from high school. And it was gone for a year. I just hopped on Instagram. I prefer Instagram because you pick what you want.
Sure.
It's more photos and like, here's the fish I caught and here's the girl in a bikini and that's about it. But then a guide buddy that I have, Brad Foxwell, he knows I'm an aspiring guide as much as he makes fun of me and says I'll never be able to do it.
Gotcha.
He said, if you ever want to do it, you have to have social media. So, like you said with your mom, I started up my Facebook account again, and now I just pick and choose who I want to be my friend, as long as you follow it that way. But no, what more I was talking about was social media impact on fishing.
Well, so it's, because I look at it from a community perspective, that's generally what I focus on. But if you wanna just get into, is it good? Is it bad? Like, is that where we're headed here? Because it's both and it's neither. You know what I mean? We can talk about conservation there, so that's great, right?
Yeah.
We can go out and tell people, hey, listen, maybe if we just let all these go for a couple years, the fishing will be better, and we'll be able to do a responsible harvest. We can say that, which is good, but they can also just say whatever they want, you know.
Well, and this is, I'm just throwing an idea because just like I said, I've had David Sikorsky on here. I've talked to a lot of guys about conservation, and there's good arguments on both sides, but the metrics are off. So, I'm a catch and release guy through and through. That's how I believe we're going to sustain the fishery. Despite social media, because the good old days, you had your group of 4 or 5 dudes. Before cell phones, you had to be on your house phone and call them, tell them how the day went. There was no calling in a guy who was on that shore and we're on this shore, and then 40 boats are following that boat. Right. But no, now it's, people are getting guns held to their head, metaphorically, for posting the Bay Bridge in the background,
right?
Or spot burning. So, I do urge people to have some kind of secrecy, because now the biomass of fish, especially stripers, has shrunk, massively. Who knows if that's influenced by us or if that's influenced by weather, it's influenced by omega. There's so many different theories out there, but with the biomass shrinking and then social media targeting that specific biomass, because it is smaller, and it's it's now you have one. You used to maybe have 10 of these biomasses of stripers moving around, and you pick one, and that's the one you fish. No, now everyone's following the same one. Right. Do you fish the Bay much, like down towards the Bay Bridge or anything?
Nope. I'm a local guy, man. I just for me, I mean, well, until I catch a striper, the striper's got to come out of the flats. It's got to come from Susquehanna River Flats area. I can't just go catch, I can't go sit at the inlet and catch something that I know is going to be gargantuan. I can't go do that. I got to go get it out of my river that I grew up on.
So have guys made a mission out of getting you a striped bass yet? I can't believe if you're buddies with Darwin Hayward, you haven't caught a striped bass.
Darwin Hayward has said he's going to get me a striped bass so many times. I still got 0 striped bass.
Have you gone out with him where he's caught a bunch and you still haven't got one?
No. Okay. We have been out together, but neither one of us caught that day. It was just a shit day.
He goes out on shit days and night, and he's hardcore.
Yeah, he is. He's a good guy. You know how it is, man. I'm busy. I'm an incredibly busy guy. He's an incredibly busy guy. He just opened up and went full time on his pool business that he's been doing for a couple of years. Before that, he was working full time and doing that full time. So hopefully he's got a little time for himself these days.
Shoot, man, if your schedule allows, I mean that'd kind of be like a notch on my belt. Getting the
that's what I'm trying to tell everybody, bro. Like, I'm right here. Listen, this can be an awesome experience for everybody involved.
You're like a striped bass charity case at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here, you just hand me the rod. Not really though, but it can't be.
That's what's crazy. Yeah. You get in a school of stripers. I mean, you're not just catching one. You can sit there for 2 hours and catch 100.
Sure. Well, I've seen it, man. I've seen it happen. I've chased birds. I've thrown into birds only a handful of times. It's hard to get to the birds on a kayak, man.
Yeah.
And then by the time I get there, they're gone.
Well, especially in the flats. I mean, and I've told this story so many times on the podcast, but I guess you've never heard it. So, through and through, before I was just a bait guy. Like, I didn't know any better. My dad gave me a boat when I think I was still in high school, senior in high school, and this is 2012. This is the prime of the flats in recent times, where there were 50-inch stripers blowing up plugs with walleye Pete up here. And I don't know if you ever heard. Have you heard of walleye Pete?
Everybody's heard of walleye Pete. Yes,
exactly. God, walleye Pete. If you listen to that, his ego can't get any bigger.
Nah, man. That guy's a legend. Yeah, there's a few of them out here.
Yeah, he's a legend. So, but the good old days. That was 2012. Walleye Pete's up here, smashing 50-inch stripers on top water plugs, and I'm up on top of the dam catching catfish. Yeah. And I had a perfect boat for doing that. Yeah. It just drives me crazy. But so whatever. So I move up here. I had like a walk around boat. We'd go out and we'd soak bait, and you'd catch 1 or 2 stripers. And then one day I'm like, I got to change something. So I had booked my buddy Brad Foxwell Chesapeake Fishing Adventures, and he never comes up here. This was, I guess this was early in his guide adventures or whatever. And I saw a post on Facebook said like 4-hour trip launching out of Havre de Grace. It was like April 6th or 7th, and I roll up. I had no idea what to expect. I'm thinking we're going out on a headboat, and I have no idea. I don't know any better. And we go out. We're right out there in front of Havre de Grace, kind of by the barges, if you know where the barges are.
Yep.
Kind of messing around there. He's marking a couple of things, nothing. He gets his binoculars, and he goes, holy shit. Over at Rocky Point, there was just seagulls or whatever kind of bird it was, probably some ospreys mixed in, slamming perch. Perch are boiling out of the water. I haven't seen anything like that up here since.
Okay.
And might I add, this is my first experience like this up here.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, holy shit, I've been doing it wrong the whole time. I'm like, this is out here every day like this? This is insane. I moved to the right place.
Right.
I mean, so much so, we caught over 100 high 20s, low 30s stripers that day.
Wow.
And there were so many perch and so many rockfish that you could see some rockfish choking on perch. Like the perch had those spines on them.
Yep.
So this one in particular was like 40 yards away from the boat. It had a perch like sideways in its gullet or whatever. And Brad's a big, huge conservation guy. So we call him Dr. Brad. He takes a rod first cast, snipes this thing out, foul hooks the striper in the back, pulls it in, gets his forceps out, revives the fish, and lets it go.
Nice.
Dude, I'm sitting there like, the hell's going on? Like, is this... Right. I live here. I've never seen shit like this before. Yeah. I literally go out with my boat that afternoon, and the stripers had moved.
Gone.
Yeah, and it was like eye-opening. Like, maybe I just have no idea what I'm doing, but that's what started my addiction with light tackle, catch and release, and it's been misery since then in a good way.
Yeah, the best, right?
Yeah,
the best kind.
3
of misery.
boats later, and then now it's just a goal to conquer the bay that I'll never achieve, but the chase is fun.
If it had an end, would you really want to go for it?
Exactly. Well, and now I'm obsessed with cobia and redfish. I still love striper; they're very near and dear to my heart. But it's really hard to see just in 3 years or 4 years what's happened to these fish. It's just decimated. Yeah. Decimated. So
that's definitely one of the things with the stripers. I've always kind of kept an eye just on what was going on. I can remember my dad telling me stories, during the moratorium when I was young. Maybe that's why I never learned how to catch a striper, because I think we were under moratorium most of my childhood. You weren't even allowed to fish for them for a long time.
Well, I think the moratorium, and this is what David Sikorsky said. And he said, I could be wrong. Well, back then, light tackle, throwing jigs with plastic bodies wasn't really a thing. It was kind of like bunker and herring. But I think you were allowed to catch and release during the moratorium.
Okay.
Which I doubt if they did a moratorium again, which they might.
Sure. Not on. Let's see. They had one a couple of years ago. Didn't they shut it down for a year, or was it just severely decreased?
No, I think 2 years.
It's been open, right?
It's been open. So it used to be all catch and release up here was fine, March, April, and then now it's just April 1st. It shuts down.
Okay.
And this is actually really cool. You might find this cool. It was, David Sikorsky was telling me back in the day, they used to do all these studies up here in the flats, and they would have these big fish pens, and they had a group of people, I guess kind of like the Susquehanna River Fishing Club, group of people they designated that if you caught, you would fish around this pen, and I mean, these were 40, 50-inch stripers. If a catch and release fish, you released it in the pen.
Yeah.
You knew how many fish were going in this pen, and then at the end, they would pull these fish up, see how many were still alive.
Yeah.
And it was like, all of them were still alive.
Yeah, right.
So, how can you... But these numbers are now lost. Like, no one thinks about these studies anymore.
Right.
It's 50-degree water.
Yeah.
You have healthy fish going back and swimming away. Now, if you... I know you don't... You fish around here, you don't really go south at all, but my first year living up here, I would take the boat down to the Bay Bridge, which is so stupid. I can't believe I had a 2-stroke motor, man. It was like $300 in gas to go down there.
Yeah.
But you go down to all those shoals and... Belvedere, all these shoals down there, and it's just charter boats after charter boat after charter boat, 90-degree water. Right. And what do you see in the water? Upside down stripers. Everywhere. 16, 17, 18-inch striper. Yeah. And an argument against catch and release, which I do believe in, but it's also for keeping at that time, is catch and release in hot water.
Yeah.
You catch and release in 85-degree water down there, doesn't matter what size the fish is, it's not living.
Yep.
It will not live.
Yep.
It will die.
That's actually I had to get a special permit for our tournament because the black bass are involved, and it is after June 1st. After June 1st, they, the tournament permit selection process becomes a lot tighter. Of course, we breeze right through it because we're catch and release. CPR, catch, photo, release.
Yep.
And that's I grew up as an angler. My dad doesn't eat fish. I don't eat fish. I do eat fish sometimes, but I'm not like a.
Well, if you go cobia fishing, you keep cobia.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep right now. I caught a mahi last year. I caught a bunch of mahi last year. I went on a boat with my fire captain. Caught a bunch of them. Man, they were delicious. Stripers are delicious.
The largemouth are notorious for tasting like junk, aren't they?
Couldn't tell you. Never ate one.
I mean, I don't think anyone keeps largemouth. Some people do.
Don't get me started. Some people do, and they're welcome to do it. I just personally, my father taught me that that's a game fish that we want to let go so they can get bigger and we can catch them bigger. That's how I learned it as a kid. So that's how I do it now.
So the largemouth, they call them black bass.
Yeah, black bass includes largemouth and smallmouth.
Gotcha.
And
so
plus,
what's
like,
when I see guys say like a greenback, what is that? Is that a different type of bass?
I would have suspected they're talking about a largemouth. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, because a couple years ago they almost had the it was the year that this was chocolate milk out here for like 3 months. What tournament was that? Huge tournament. The Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
And I mean, down here at the Wellwood parking lot, you had these, the trucks that matched the boats, all sponsored up and everything. And it was just chocolate milk out there. Guys had been practice fishing and not catching anything, so they shut it down. But I assume the bass, like, fishing numbers are okay around here?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, largemouth fishing on the Susquehanna Flats is world class.
Still.
Still. Think about all that grass, man. It's there's so many fish there that you can't even access because they're in the miles and miles and miles of grass fields back there. I've caught them square in the middle. I'm talking it's been 2 feet of just nothing but grass for the 20 minutes I've been traveling, and just kind of bebopping, letting the wind blow me, and I'm throwing it around. Next thing you know, there's somebody blowing up on my frog in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
So it's kind of a shame that I'm not in the largemouth living here.
As far as don't get me wrong, these aren't the biggest you're going to catch in the state. Not necessarily. The Potomac is definitely known to be our best fishery in the state.
Funny story about largemouth. I've caught them bycatch while fishing for stripers with like 7-inch, like those paddle tails they have up on the wall. Yeah. I was down at it was that camera, thank God. I was down at Sandy Point last year. It was during striper season, like end of March, and I had my buddy come down from PA. His kids had never caught anything more than the bluegill before.
Sure.
So this kid, I'm teaching them how to jig. They're casting on there was stripers chasing bait up onto the bank there, which is pretty cool. That almost never happens. Right. So I'm like casting that bait, pull it back into him. Teaching them, and I think he actually had an X-Wrap. And he's bringing it back, and he's like, I got one. I'm like, damn, that's a good striper, dude. It was pull and drag. Yep. He pulled it in. It was a 24-inch largemouth bass.
Nice.
And he's sitting there, and he's just, kind of like, I'm like, I asked him to pose for a picture.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem that excited. Right. I'm like, you realize you just caught a citation largemouth?
Yeah, like a trophy.
Yeah, like a trophy on your first fish.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's quite cool. I'm like, I was stoked. I'm not even a largemouth guy.
Yeah, my biggest fish I think was 22, and I got the citation for it. 6.5 pounds. I got a 6.5 pound fish.
Maybe it was a 22 because his other son had caught a 22 or 24-inch striper.
Yeah.
So maybe the largemouth was 22 and the striper was 24.
It's only got to be 20. It's only got to be 20 to.
Yeah. It was over. It was far over 20. It was a huge.
And it's hard to catch bass over 20.
Yeah.
I'm real happy with a 17, 18-inch bass. I'm in the tournament. I'll take 17, 18 inches all day long.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always second. I've never actually won a tournament, but I'm always like in this. I'm sniffing it.
Yeah.
Lots of second place, lots of third place.
Well, I don't know if you saw the trolling motor on the front of my boat. That's brand new.
Okay.
But I've never been able to go into these shallow grasses before because I'm very a baby that motor in
Yeah,
that
man.
boat.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's my pride and
Why
joy.
wouldn't? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, but now I have that trolling motor. I'll beat the hell out of that thing. Those are meant to be beat up.
You got it.
Maybe I'll take that out in the grasses this year.
Okay.
Another cool thing, which they're awful for the fishery, is the golden carp I've seen out there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the flats will get like Bermuda water clear.
Uh-huh.
Then that's cool when you go out in the flats and you can
see them and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
You go out to the swim spot and you're in 5 foot deep water and you can see your toes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have drifted over those grass flats and seen these massive golden carp out there, just like just scooting through the grass, and that's pretty cool. It's a great fishery up here, or a great setup for a good fishery with all the tributaries that pour in. And it seems like a lot of it is screwed up by some of the northern states, like when. Also political shit that I don't really want to get into.
Right,
but I think the regulations up north for pollutants and everything else are screwed up. And also the scary thought of, what happens with the nitrate levels on the top of the dam. Have you ever read those articles? They talk about
the
I've
gotten
sediment
into them some. Yeah.
stuck behind that dam is insane. And what would ever happen? Not if the dam breaks, I'm dead anyway. I'm not. We're all dead. Havre de Grace, Charlestown.
Havre de Grace, the leads under. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're all
Yep.
screwed.
Yep.
Yeah, totally screwed. But it would decimate the bay with the nitrate levels of the sediment up there.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting to the end here. We've already done an hour and 45 minutes. I kind of want to go back to the foundation you have a little bit here. So I guess let's just throw some metrics out. Do you have your dates set yet?
I do. So we're doing the St. Baldricks Heroes fishing tournament, second annual. It's going to be out of Tidings Marina this year.
It's one day?
It is a one-day event this year.
You have backup dates too?
Nope, no backup days. We're going where as green means go.
Okay.
There's just so many things packed around those weekends in the summer.
Yeah.
Got to give it an all or nothing.
Gotcha.
So, not to say that we wouldn't. I'm not going to let anybody go in the water in a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
And I will make the adjustments.
There's a lot of protected areas you can fish.
Yeah, sure, and it's people. Those folks out there know me. I'm good for my word. This tournament's going to go down. Everybody's going to have a great time. I'm not going to put anybody in danger. So if for any reason I have to cancel it last minute because of something like that, it will happen. But we will just be deciding from there.
Yeah,
then.
well, a lot of planning goes into it. So it's
You got it.
You got to have sponsors, all that shit.
You
You
got
got to reline it all up.
You got it. But no sweat. It's So we're doing it out at Tidings Marina right there in Havre de Grace. You can check us out on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're working on a website, but I don't think it's really ready to roll out yet. We'll be pretty shortly. But you can check us out at St. Baldricks Heroes. It's HEROES. On Facebook. Same with Instagram. You can shoot me an email at stbaldricksheroes@yahoo.com. If you have any questions, that'll come straight to me. Anybody's interested in sponsorships. Got 33 great sponsors. I'm not going to even start talking about them because we don't have time to list all 33 of them.
Well, we got time if you want to throw them out.
I'll tell you what. Oh no, I left my book, so I'm not even going to.
Well, let's do this. Get the logos. I have video editing software. I can send me the list.
Sure.
I want to make sure all these sponsors have some kind of exposure, especially with the podcast.
Oh yeah.
If you get logos, I can superimpose logos over things.
Yeah.
I would love to. Even if you have a phone at home, record yourself with all of them. Email me the footage, and I'll crop it all in.
Cool, man. I'm actually working on some stuff with that with them. I want to try to get some videos from these guys, and I'm gonna throw it out there, man. That I'm gonna put your name out there and say, hey, you guys want to go talk about your stuff? I know a guy's looking for people to talk to.
It's so tough to find people.
Yeah, sure, man. And these guys, I mean, they're trying to put a new product out there, and it's let them at it, man. I don't know. So. Yeah, that's it. Tournament is lines in. So like I said before, two-leg tournament. You can do a back pass tournament or the snakehead tournament, or you can participate in both. Obviously, we priced it to try to get everybody into both. Mm-hmm. Lines are in at I think like 5:15 that morning. It's right around sunrise. Lines out at 3.
Is it all kayak?
All kayak. All kayak this year. We're going to do our after party right there at Coakley's Pub in Havre de Grace. So plenty of parking around. There's places to get trailers in. You can leave your boats on top of your car if you need to. So we're going to have an awesome ass party afterward. As far as just kayaks this year, I haven't really put it out there yet. For this year, we're trying to put together a kids derby. to get involved with also. That's part of the main goal. That, you know, my vision for where, you know, when my buddy said, "Hey, let's start this tournament," you know, I didn't start my thinking about it at let's see if we can scramble something together. I'm sitting there like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Like 2 days long, and there's going to be this giant fishing flea market, and we're going to have a bass boat tournament. And we're going to have a kayak tournament. We're going to do a kids derby. We'll do a biggest catfish contest for you know, and I want it to be a whole weekend long ordeal. And, you know, maybe we got to move it so that people have places to camp for it. Next thing you know, it's just, you know, that was where I go straight away. So I had to back down, get back to here, but
you got to build a solid foundation for the house.
You got it.
Those are all golden ideas, though.
You got it, and I think we've done that, man. I really think that last year we put together something solid enough to build on this year, and we've obviously built on it. It's already very clear that we've surpassed what we were able to do last year. And from here, it's just keep going up. You know, we have actually surpassed last year so far. That's what makes the idea of maybe getting this kids derby involved or initiated this year a possibility.
I think like the kids catfish tournament sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah, man,
because it's easy.
Yeah,
and you got the whole promenade at the.
Yeah. So that's my issue right now is I'm trying to find a place to have a kids fishing derby. I need a big enough place to be able to get kids up against the water. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the park at Havre is pretty big.
It is, but then there's other things I have to have permission for stuff.
You got to have permits.
For that, and I would have to change my permits.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if I have time for that. I'm actively looking into it, but I'm looking more on a private side where, like, I was thinking the VFW in Havre Grace was my first idea. I know people in there, we could get it done no problem, but they're doing a living shoreline project on the Lower Susquehanna right now, and they're just in there doing all kind of construction.
Is that all the dredging they're doing right now?
Yeah, when you're coming across the bridge, if you're headed toward Harford
They're
County,
screwing up my striper season.
Yeah, this one's probably going to take a hit from their work around here, maybe in the Lower Susquehanna. But if you do a little research on what they're doing,
it's to build it back.
It's a living shoreline project. The whole idea to beginning it was to control erosion. There's a big erosion problem there, and it's was a very industrial looking area to keep the bank from coming back.
Yeah.
So they're actually, the Army Corps of Engineers is involved, and they are redoing that whole shoreline so that it will be protected by itself, and it can be utilized. There's going to be new boat ramp going in. There's going to be a beach for swimming. It's going to be an awesome thing, man. I'm really fired up about it.
I just was selfishly saying, the water getting a little muddied up.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you,
it's not going to kill stripers. They just won't be able to see my bait.
It's just the fishing in the flats won't be, it'll be fantastic instead of fucking fantastic this year. Sorry, sorry boys. We get it every now and then. You like you said about that year that it was muddy, man. It was actually chocolate milk like that. A good bit for like those 2 years. We just had so many big rainstorms up north. We caught the fish, brother. We got out there and caught those fish. They're out there. We found them. So yeah, that's it, man. It's we're all very stoked. There's a team of us going at it. I've got support of literally everybody. Like anybody I have asked so far, I'm like, yeah, duh. Like it's a no-brainer. To me, it's a no-brainer. So I guess I'm just kind of bringing those people toward me. Yeah. But we're really putting together something special this year, like something that I think is going to turn some heads. So.
It sounds awesome, man. So maybe I'll get my kayak out there.
Hey, listen, I got another one for you, brother. I got 4 kayaks. So if there's anybody out there who's thinking about joining and wants to take part, but I don't have, no excuse. I got 4 kayaks, and I don't get to use any of them that day. So
the funny thing is, right when COVID started, I went out and bought a nice sit-on-top fishing kayak. It was like $1,000 kayak. Yeah. And I was out there in Perryville, and I put a trolling motor on it. I went out to Walmart, bought a $99 Minn Kota, put it on the back, had 2 little eyelets, so the foot pedals that you rest your feet on, I flipped them in so you can move them and attach cables to them. Yeah. So I'm out there trolling around with my my new kayak, and I get back to the ramp, DNR sitting there. It's like an Australian guy. And he's like, let me see your registration. I was like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, you put a propulsion on the back. You need a registration. So I got a ticket for having the kayak with a trolling motor.
I already knew that you got a ticket from the Australian guy.
You know the Australian guy?
I know the Australian guy. Same guy. I'll give you a story about the Australian guy. I hate trashing people, but I'm going to trash this guy. The Australian guy.
That's funny you know him.
Mid-COVID. Well, I'll tell you how I met him. Mid-COVID. Right over here in Charlestown. Over at the beach. We weren't supposed to be doing anything outside. We all had to be inside. But we were allowed to go outside to fish if we were fishing for sustenance, right?
The amount of sailboats with fucking fishing rods on the back was hilarious.
Brother. Look, he stops me putting my kayak in the water over there and makes me put my bass equipment back and lets me go with a bank fishing rig and my kayak. He makes me put my bass fishing equipment away and lets me do exactly what I was going to do anyway. Some people got to have common sense.
Yeah.
That guy ain't got none. I don't know what.
Yeah, well, the marina here, I used to keep my boat in the water, my old boat. And the marina, when COVID started, they sent this email out like, no one's allowed to use their boat. And I said, the fuck I can't.
Yeah.
They were like, we'll keep an eye on them. If something's wrong with them, we'll let you know, and you can come pull them out of the water. But other than that, you can't show up here. And I'm like, I just walked right past them and went fishing. I said, fuck it. Like, what are you going to do to me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm all about the rules. Yeah, I'm a dad. We got to follow the rules, but
some rules don't make sense.
Brother, if it don't make too much sense and I'm not going to hurt anybody, that's about all I got to say about it. So.
All right, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming out, and this has been a seamless or an effortless podcast.
Yeah.
You seem like a really, really nice guy. You're doing some great stuff. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your foundation. I'd love to have you back on.
Awesome.
Whenever you're ready to come back on. If you want to do this again, right? When is the start date for the tournament?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's June 28th.
June 28th. So we got plenty of time between now and then. Maybe we can do this again.
Yeah.
Re-hype it up once we get things a little more tightened up.
Awesome.
Well, I got 5 mics, so you got your team. We can bring everybody in here. We can talk.
Every single one of them had a dad duty today. Everybody had a damn dad duty today, except for mom, who's not a dad.
Let's talk to all of them. I got plenty of mics. I got plenty of headsets. We can come in here and have a good time.
Cool, bro.
Podcasting's fun, man.
Yeah, this is cool. This has been a great experience.
It's a good time. So I really appreciate you coming out, dude.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
All right. It's super easy to do, dude.
Yeah, it's cool.